Sadly, no game tonight, but what's the plan going forward? Yes, hello everyone, good evening and welcome to a new video on the channel now. Tonight I was meant to be at Northallerton Town versus Kendal Town, but unfortunately the weather has got the better of that one, and in a way I suppose I'm not really surprised. The weather in Northallerton over the last couple of days hasn't exactly been the best, but I've got to be honest, not entirely disappointed. As I alluded to at the end of Saturday's video, I maybe could have done with a bit of a chill out week. Obviously, when I've not been at work, so when I've been at home on nights and stuff like that, because I've got a very hectic weekend coming up, and I thought this video was probably a good opportunity to just have a little bit of a chat about what's to come between now and the end of the season. Really, I'm just going to make this as sort of short and as sweet as possible. I know I can ramble on a little bit too much, but obviously, so I guess the main questions are: how many more Gateshead games will I go to? Will I be going abroad, if at all? Yeah, let's just crack straight on with it. And there is a few trips planned before the end of the season, and you're probably wondering when the first one of those is going to be. Well, the answer is this coming weekend, because while it was exceptionally disappointing the way Gateshead went out at the FA Trophy, and obviously Eastleigh getting through and that game being changed to a Tuesday night means I unfortunately I can't make that away game, but every cloud does have its silver lining, and back in November, until Motherwell got to Hampden, I was meant to be going to Belfast for the weekend and taking in a game there. So I've decided to resurrect that plan, and we are doing it this very weekend. And I've not fully decided which game I'm going to yet. I've got a choice of three. Either I can do Crusaders versus Linvady United. I think I've pronounced that right. Apologies if I haven't. Cliftonville versus Glenavon, or Larne versus, I think it's Portadown. Obviously, the two games in Belfast, the Crews game and the Cliftonville game, are both in the Irish Cup, while the Larne game is a league fixture. Incidentally, the Larne fixture is a 5:30 kick-off, so if I did choose to go to that one, I could pick up a 2 p.m. game in one of the sort of Northern Irish amateur leagues en route. But I'm not going to lie, one sort of part of history that really does kind of interest me is like the whole like troubles in Northern Ireland and that sort of thing. So I might just stick to Belfast, and before the game just have a look around like some of the murals and stuff like that. Just get a sort of feel for the kind of history side of it, I guess. Then obviously taking one of the games in the afternoon, but on the Sunday, no time at all to hang about in Belfast. Instead, it is straight back to Belfast International Airport to get a very early flight over to Fir Park for Motherwell versus Celtic. So it's going to be a big day at Fir Park on Sunday. It'll be very, very interesting to see what the atmosphere is like at that game. Obviously, Stuart Kettlewell leaving the club yesterday, outlining his reasons why that was. And yeah, there's been a lot of talk about sort of Motherwell fans and stuff like that from players, from coaching staff, etc. over the last couple of days. So it's going to be a very interesting atmosphere indeed. So yeah, but it's going to be that's certainly a video you've got to keep your eye on. But where do I stand with Gateshead for the rest of this season? As I mentioned, obviously I will miss the Eastleigh game now, unfortunately, but another game I will be missing, probably missing, is the Wealdstone game, which is actually the next game, which is also away from home. But after that, I shouldn't be missing any more games. And yeah, there's some massive ones to come at that, isn't there? You think away to Barnet, away to Forest Green, home to York, away to Hartlepool, home at Southend. So yeah, there's going to be some cracking Gateshead games coming before the end of the season. Hopefully we can get one or two more players through the door, especially when you look at our February sort of fixtures, quite a lot of games to come, sort of Saturday, Tuesday, etc. So everyone in the squad's going to be needed. But while it's not been the best of starts to 2025, let's hope that February can bring us a bit more joy. Then we can start to gradually kick on again from there. But the big question is, will Gateshead make the playoffs? Now, of course, despite a winless January, we still are in a very good position to potentially be able to go on and do that. But we will obviously find out over time. It's still going to be very competitive. There's still quite a bit of a way to go. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. All the teams are going to pick up wins. All the teams are going to drop points. But if we're in the playoffs, then I'll absolutely be at every game for as long as we're in them. Hopefully, that would the end of it all will be yet another Wembley appearance. I put out a tweet at the back end of last week, sort of inquiring about when the playoffs would actually be, because I'm sure I read somewhere that Wembley has agreed to deal with the National League to host the playoff final for this season as well. But the problem we've got is the weekend of the 10th of May, while it's this weekend of the FA Trophy final, and two, it's still far too close to the end date of the regular season. The weekend after, it is the men's and women's FA Cup finals, and the weekend after that, it is the EFL playoff finals. So that kind of leaves only one viable option, which is the last weekend in May. But I guess the main question is, when would the eliminators be, and when would the semi-finals be? I think, logically speaking, the best way to do it would be to have the eliminators in the midweek after the FA Trophy final, then have the semi-finals on that weekend. But then again, when have common sense in the National League ever come into things? But what it could potentially do, these playoffs, is hamper a couple of other of my European trips. I'm not mind, you can't really call Northern Ireland a European trip, can you? I know I have to fly to get there and stuff like that. Don't really fancy packing my swimming trunks to go over there. But in May there is actually three European trips on the horizon. The first one being on the first weekend in May, which is a trip to the Netherlands. Now, what this one will entail is a trip to a Dutch third tier game, I think, on a Saturday afternoon, and then the plan for the Saturday night is Groningen. Then on the Sunday, hopefully, Go Ahead Eagles. But if I can't get a ticket for Go Ahead Eagles against AZ Alkmaar, but hopefully I will. I've got the date. I've seen the date where the tickets go on sale and stuff like that. I'm not going to say what it is in case you guys try to hijack me. Just go check it out for yourselves if you're really that desperate to go to that game. But if I can't, then NAC Breda versus Pexvoll is waiting in the wings for that Sunday. Of course, that is the bank holiday weekend, and the National League season finishes on the bank holiday Monday, with obviously Gateshead playing at home to Southend. So planned all my flights accordingly. I'll land, got a very early flight out of Amsterdam on that Monday morning, so should make it back to Newcastle, then obviously get the metro, etc., across to Gateshead in good time for the Heat game that day. But that's obviously with the way the regular league season fixtures have worked out, that weekend cannot be affected whatsoever by anything. But the ones that could are obviously 2 weekends later. So obviously the weekend of the 10th of May and the 11th of May, I'll just still be in the UK going somewhere. Where that'll be, that remains to be seen. So if either Spennymoor in the FA Trophy or North Shields or Crook in the FA Vars get to their finals, then I'll probably go down to Wembley and just enjoy it at a bit of a more relaxed pace, supporting the North East team. But we'll obviously find out in due course if any of those teams can do that. But the weekend after that, I've got a planned trip to Germany and to Bavaria, where the planned game is Augsburg versus Union Berlin. Now, this could be affected by a playoff eliminators, playoff semi-finals. I really don't know, but I think based on the fact the FA Cup, the men's FA Cup final is on that Saturday. I'm kind of thinking that like the FA won't allow sort of any other sort of games to be played on that Saturday. So there's a good chance that those playoffs could be on the Sunday, which would obviously work in my favour because obviously the Augsburg against Union Berlin game is on the Saturday. Will definitely stay on the Saturday. It would have been the last game of the season, so I might just get away with that one. But the one that could be a bit in question is the one I've got the week after, which is kind of the big one really, and that is a trip to Italy where I've definitely got Milan versus Monza planned, and two other games around it. Of course, if you know Serie A, you'll know that the last weekend of their season, it's kind of a situation where you have a couple of games on a Friday, a couple of games on a Saturday, then all the rest on a Sunday. But they're not actually announced until pretty last minute, so planned everything accordingly. But just a little bit fearful that the either the National League playoff semi-finals could be on that weekend, but as I say, I think the most logical way to do it, and not to sound biased towards myself or anything, would be to have the eliminators just after the FA Trophy final, then the semi-finals on the weekend that I would be going to Augsburg, then have a 2-week gap, then have the final on the last weekend in May. But we'll find out in due course. But that is kind of the cut and dry of like my plans with sort of big trips between now and the end of the season. So so how have I thought the season's gone so far? Well, it's been a bit of a mixed bag really, hasn't it? Been some great times watching Gateshead. I think the last minute winners against Eastleigh and against Solihull, rampant wins against Ebbsfleet, against Maidenhead, the thrilling Boxing Day game against Hartlepool. Kind of seen it all really, haven't we? But I think there's been quite a few lows as well. Obviously, I think the AFC Fylde game, the Rochdale home game, the Halifax home game. So there's been some lows as well. There's been, we think, games neutrally. There's been quite a few disappointing ones. A few 0-0s of late and that sort of thing. But I think from like this season so far, like the overall highlights probably have to be I really enjoyed the day trip I had to A United. I thought it was a cracking day. Really enjoyed that ground. But obviously the standout's got to be the South Wales derby, hasn't it? I mean, that was just something else atmosphere wise, just everything, and possibly even reflected in the fact that that video is now my second most viewed of all time. So many thanks to you guys for that, and not least the Cardiff fans, who I think have helped me out massively with that one. So yeah, that has been kind of my highlights. So what other games sort of are kind of standouts looking ahead? Well, obviously, as I mentioned on Sunday, I think Motherwell versus Celtic's going to be quite a feisty one for a number of reasons. Got quite a few National League North games coming up in the month of February and into March. I've got South Shields against Hereford next Tuesday, which I'm definitely looking forward to. Spennymoor versus Marine at the end of this month. Scarborough versus Needham Market. So the National League North's definitely coming in a bit more into play, which I'm kind of glad about. It is a league I've always followed quite closely, especially since Gateshead were in it. Ever since we left it, I've still followed it with a reasonable amount of interest, obviously given the sheer amount of local teams that are in it. In February, there's a hat-trick of Gateshead home games coming up. I think there's one on a Tuesday 11th, one on Saturday the 15th, and one on Tuesday the 18th. The women's time we derby, that's going to be one that's going to be quite fiery, it seems. I think ticket sales are going quite well for that already, so I'm probably going to have to get my arse in gear and get something sorted for that sooner rather than later, so I don't have to miss out. I don't think I will miss out, but yeah, all the same, better to be safe than sorry, isn't it? Easter Saturday, I'll probably do my traditional Easter Saturday trip to Scotland. Of course, Motherwell won't be playing. It's Scottish Cup semi-final weekend, already been knocked out after stinking the place out against St Johnstone. So, a couple of options. Dunfermline's one I'm looking at. I think Forfars one as well. I think East Fife at home. I might be wrong on that. So, I've got options there. I'll just have to decide maybe a little bit close to time in terms of what I fancy and that sort of thing, and what'll just be easiest to do on the day, because obviously you've got to consider train times and that sort of thing. I want to be back on the Saturday night. Obviously, it would have been Easter the next day, just chill on Easter Sunday. Then obviously go again with a Hartlepool game on Easter Monday. So yeah, that's kind of the cut and dry of it. Hopefully, it will be a pretty as memorable an end to the season as possible. They've still got quite a few Football League games. I think I've got Barnsley against Exeter planned for April Fool's Day, which would be good because I've always kind of wanted to go to Orkwell, and obviously because of playing Exeter, a chance to watch Ed Francis dominate the football once again. And I think probably standout of all the Championship games, all the Football League games I've got planned, is probably Middlesbrough versus Leeds on the 8th of April. Now that is one I definitely cannot wait for. I mean, I know like over the last couple of years I've done Middlesbrough against Sunderland, but that's kind of become yesterday's news to us now, I'm not going to lie. So next kind of running ladder was their game against Leeds. So yeah, as I say, I can't wait for that. But after that, it's just a case of who gets to what cup final, who's involved in what playoffs. So still plenty to be decided this season, and this channel is going to do its very best to sort of bring you like as sort of good coverage from a spectator's perspective, a fan's perspective as possible. So thanks for the support so far this season, and I'm just going to leave this video here, and I'll be back, of course, on Saturday with my experience of whatever game I decide to go to in Northern Ireland. So until then, take care, cheers for watching, see you on the other side of the water.